Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all respected attendees and speakers. Welcome to the online continuing professional development for Nusantara. This is the first webinar of the third strand of the event. This event is a collaboration between British Council and Beltin. Thank you for British Council and Beltin for making this event possible. I, Zelfa Fajira Sabrina Putri, am honored to be the Master of Ceremony for today's webinar, entitled Dimensions of Continuous Professional Development. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the Chief Committee of the event, Dr. Diah Royani Meisani, MPD. Welcome, Ibu. And to our speakers for today's webinar, Ibu Francisca Maria Ivone, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Malang. Good morning, Ibu. Also to Dr. Putu Eka Sulistia Dewi, SPD, MPD from Universitas Pendidikan Ganesha. Good morning, Bu. Today's webinar is hosted by a moderator, Ibu Tina Priyantin, MPD from Universitas Pakuan Bogor, and also from the Chapter Coordinators Division of Beltin. Good morning, Bu.
Good morning.
Before proceeding to the seminar, there are a few things we would like to inform you. This session is being recorded and will be uploaded on British Council's Indonesia YouTube page. By attending, you acknowledge that your comments may be recorded and rebroadcasted. If you would like to ask questions, please type them in the Q&A box on Zoom. At the end of this session, you will be given a link to complete a post-event survey. Link to the e-certificate will be provided at the end of Webinar 8 and only to participants who attend all the webinar in Strand 3 from Webinar 7 to 8, or at least attend all the webinars in any or all strands from Strand 1 to 3. Thank you. Dear participants, now let's hear an opening speech from the Chief Committee of the event, Dr. Diah Royani Meisani, MPD. To Ibu Diah, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Zalfa. Good morning from Malang, Bapak Ibu. Welcome to the last strand, which is strand 3 of the webinar series, collaboration between British Council and Beltin. Today, we are focusing on webinar 7 with the title Dimensions of Continuous Professional Development. And it is indeed an honor to have each and every one of you joining us today as we are going to discuss these crucial aspects of professional growth and learning. Bapak Ibu, I'm very happy to introduce you to our distinguished panelists for today's discussion, Ibu Francisca Maria Ivone, Ph.D., and Ibu Dr. Niluh Eka Sulistia Dewi. Good morning again, Ibu Ivone and Ibu Eka. Their expertise and insights promise to illuminate the various dimensions of continuous professional development, offering us valuable perspective that we can incorporate into our own practices. Bapak Ibu, as we embark on this webinar journey together, I encourage active participation and engagement from all of you. Please remember we have the WhatsApp group for our community of practice, and it serves as a platform for ongoing discussion, knowledge sharing, and network beyond the confines of this webinar. So please don't hesitate to be an active member there, enriching the conversation with your thoughts, questions, and experiences. Furthermore, I extend a warm invitation to all participants to consider joining Beltin as members. Beltin offers a wealth of resources, opportunities for collaboration, and a supportive community dedicated to members. You will not only gain access to exclusive benefit, but also contribute to the collective growth and development of our profession. Finally, let us approach today's webinar with enthusiasm and an open mind, ready to observe the insights shared by our esteemed panelists and to contribute actively to the dialogue. Together, we can explore the multifaceted dimensions of continuous professional development and chart a course towards excellence in English language teaching. Once again, welcome and thank you for being part of this enriching learning experience. And over to you, Salva.
Thank you, Ibu Diah. Now we will proceed to the webinar, and I would like to invite Ibu Tina Priyantin, MPD, as the moderator. To Ibu Tina, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Zalfa. Good morning from Bogor, Ibu Bapak. Welcome again to the first webinar on the third strand on the online continuous professional development for Nusantara. I'm Tina Priyantin, and I will be a moderator for today's webinar with the topic of dimensions of continuous professional development. Again, I welcome Ibu Francisca Maria Ivone, Ph.D., and Ibu Dr. Niluh Putu Eka Sulistia Dewi, SPD MPD, as our panelists. Good morning, Bu Ivone, Bu Eka. And
Good
thank you
morning,
for
Tina.
yes, thank you for your invaluable presence at the webinar. And our first panelist will be Ibu Francisca Maria Ivone, Ph.D., or her popular name is Ibu Ivone. She's going to talk about navigating the dimensions of ongoing teacher professional development. Ibu Bapa, before we proceed to the presentation, I will read her short bio. Francisca Maria Ivone is an associate professor of applied linguistics at the Department of English, Faculty of Letters, Universitas Negeri Malang in East Java, Indonesia. She specializes in teaching and researching topics such as listening and reading comprehension, extensive reading or ER, listening and viewing, computer-assisted language learning or CALL, technology-enhanced language learning or TEL, and instructional media. She has actively promoted ER and extensive listening and viewing, as well as CALL and TEL in Indonesia and Asia, through presentations at national and international conferences, seminars, and webinars as well. Francisca has authored research papers, conceptual articles, and book chapters on ER, EL and V, CALL, TEL, and collaborative learning. All right, dear Ibu Bapa, during Ibu Ivone's presentation for around 25 minutes, you can send your questions to the Q&A box provided. Thank you. All right, without further ado, please welcome Ibu Ivone. Ibu Ivone, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Tina. So good morning, everyone. Allow me to share my screen. I hope that my voice is audible.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today I will talk about navigating the dimensions of ongoing teacher professional development. So I created this presentation based on my experience as a language learner, as a teacher, as well as a teacher trainer. So I often question myself, like, am I a professional teacher? So in Indonesia, in the context of Indonesia, we have a policy standard from our government. And the policy says that we should be personally competent, so you should have personal competence and then social competence. And as we take a look at the description on the screen here, serving as a role model for learners possessing stable, mature, wise, authoritative, and morally upright personality, and some of these social competence, they actually grow as we are working as a teacher, because I remember that at the beginning of my career as a teacher, I was not mature, I was not that wise, and I did not have the authority to teach. Like, I felt that way, at least. So the next one is social competence. This is like our ability to communicate not only with learners, but also with people within our stakeholders. And the most important one, and being highlighted by the authority, is actually adaptation to the social and cultural diversity across the entire Republic of Indonesia. So the next ones, there are two other competences that we should possess. The next one is pedagogical competence and professional competence. And as we can see here, these two competence, we sort of learn much of the knowledge and skills when we were in college, when we were trained to be teachers. So how we manage our classes, and then theories, and then we learn about the curriculum and how to educate and to teach, how to assess and evaluate. And we also learn, in particular, subject matters of what we need to teach, right? In this case, English. We learn that to develop materials, or at least to choose or to adapt and adopt others' material. And the last one is we learn how to use technology in teaching. And all of these are actually very neatly displayed in this TPAC X. So if you take a look at components of TPAC, here we have content knowledge. So our ability to teach language, and then our knowledge of the language that we teach, and then pedagogical knowledge, our ability to teach that language, and then technological knowledge is our ability to use or integrate technology into what we teach. And as teachers, as we grow, we learn about this contextual knowledge. This is something that we were not aware of probably when we learn at the university or college level, because we didn't have a context. So during our the career as a teacher, we learn about our learners, about the context of our schools, our area, and other things that are demanded from us. And this, added with our personality and our ability to put this into social context, then we will probably become, a professional teacher. So the standard and policy is there. It's quite clear. Now let's take a look at this particular question. What do we know about professionalism of English teachers in Indonesia? Do we know that we are actually professional? And by looking into the 4 different components of professionalism based on the standard policy, can we say that Indonesian teachers are professional? So I read this one particular article by Pak Willy and Pak Fuad, as well as Pak Joko, in 2018. And in this particular publication, they actually highlighted some of the problems that we have within our Indonesian context. So mind you that we are only talking about content knowledge here. So language proficiency. So there are other aspects of professionalism in addition to language proficiency. So this is just one tiny aspect of our professionalism. We have problems with the variability of proficiency level. So they raise the concern that more than half of Indonesian English teachers are actually at below the expected level. And this is based on various standards, because when you teach at when you teach at the elementary school or junior high school, senior high school, or third-tier level education, then you should have at least the knowledge of language to teach at that particular level. And we don't know much about this, but in addition to that, anecdotal evidence say that more than half of us are not there yet. The next one is the variability of the tests used to determine our proficiency level. So different research and different institutions at different levels use TOEFL, IELTS, TOEIC, and other types of English tests. Some standardized, some are not. And this causes problems because these tests actually give us different information about the ability of the testees, So for TOEFL and TOEIC, for example, if you pass a certain level and you reach a certain score, then you will be able to study abroad. So it doesn't really say much about whether you are ready to be teachers or not. And then the next one, unavailability of proficiency data at national level. So we don't know what happens in our country. Like, are we ready? Are our teachers ready to teach or not? Now, this is only at the professional proficiency level. So think about other aspects. However, we can see that over the years, we have some efforts in improving the level of proficiency of English teachers in Indonesia. Let's say after we graduated from college, then some of us had to join PLPG, Pendidikan dan Pelatihan Profesi Guru, but it lasted only for 11 days. Imagine. The next one, PPG, Pendidikan Profesi Guru, 1 or 2 semesters, depending on whether you are whether you're in service or pre-service teachers. And the next one, well, if we go, on the internet, we probably find thousands of professional development trainings. Some are one-off, some in series, some are continuing. And we also do this where we also do self-directed professional development, which is lifelong, and this is a little bit more personal. Now, some of the criticism raised by a lot of people, and you can see this later when you access the British Council website. So some of the criticism on professional development efforts are, these efforts are usually top-down in terms of program and the process. And they're only superficial. Most of the trainings are unapplicable because it doesn't fit your context. The level of engagement of the participants in the professional development efforts are sometimes low, and retention is also low because probably there's a lack of follow-up. So no follow-up after training, just one off, and then let the students go back to their schools and then during the training. And some people say that it's insufficient in terms of impact. So you cannot really see the impact in addition to that unmonitored impact. And of course, some other logistical and financial also resources constraints that we have to deal with, because when we deal with teachers, they have a job, a full-time job, and for them to spend time outside of that, and it's actually logistically sometimes quite difficult. Now, regardless of the problems that we've seen in my previous slides, I still like, why should teachers do or perform professional development? Why does it have to be ongoing? Why can't it just stop when we graduated from university? So some of the very important things that I found when I reflected on this particular question is that the first one is that so that we can grow. Things are different 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So we need to adapt to new techniques and our student needs, which are most likely pretty different. So we're going to take a look at some examples later. And the next one is so that we can elevate our instruction, we can be more effective teachers, and so that we can create more engaging learning, and students can, of course, learn language better. And the last one is to enhance collaboration. So this is a way of us of encouraging learning, sharing, and mentoring. And this is, I think, a very important issue and one of the dimensions of professional development, because when we studied at the tertiary level, so at uni, we usually compete, but we don't learn the culture of learning, sharing, or monitoring. And this is a big part of a teacher's job, because when we teach on our own, teaching can be very demanding and overwhelming. So that's why we need support from other people. So when we take a look at the characteristics now of ongoing professional development, it is a sustained process. So it doesn't stop. It's lifelong learning. Well, lifelong in the sense lifelong as long as we work as a teacher. And they're supposed to be human beings, so they will change from time to time, and therefore teachers need to be able to adapt. And in terms of growth, this growth is supposed to be holistic, because as we can see the TPAC framework earlier, we can see different aspects that we should grow it. And to be able to grow, we need to perform reflective practice, and we can do it on our own or with other people. So if I question myself now, do I need to grow to be a more professional teacher? I mean, I've been teaching for ages, and most of you have been teaching for probably over 5 years and over 10 years, even over 20 years. So if you want to use chat box now, do we need to grow to be a more professional teacher? Do you want to share your answers to that? I will give you like 10 seconds, including Putina. What do you think, Putina? Do we still need to grow to be a more professional teacher? Do you think? Are you already a professional teacher?
Well, I cannot say that I'm a professional, but I'm trying my best to be professional.
For sure, yes.
Yes. Bu Ivan, sorry to interrupt. Anyway, I cannot see your face on the screen. So probably you have, the connection is unstable there.
You cannot see, excuse me?
Yes, I can see you now. Thank you. You may continue your presentation. Sorry.
Yes, so we need to grow, of course. Yeah. Sorry if I missed. What did you say? Anyway.
Yes.
Oh, can I continue this?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Okay. Right. Why? That question is why. So I'm going to share some problems that I face, well, currently. And these are pressing problems. The first one, my present students are different from my previous students. They are more proficient in some areas. In the past, we had students probably coming to university with TOEFL score of 400, 450, 500 maximum. But these days, they come to uni with a TOEFL score of 600. So what do we do with these people? More proficient, but yet we still have students at a very, very low proficiency level. So the range is actually bigger these days, and they are more demanding. They use language which is a little bit different from us, quote unquote. So, and the next one, my current problem as well. My students use generative AI in their assignments and during online exams. This causes a lot of problems to us. And the last one, my students are supposed to be digital natives, but they don't seem to know how to use appropriate technology for language learning. So I will need to, in my particular case, I need to grow because I still have problems in my teaching. I haven't been able to solve everything, and therefore I need to grow and find answers to this. And how do I find answers? Well, within things that I can do on my own and also with the help of other people. So if you want to share in the chat box once again, my problems are actually personal. It happens to me, contextual to my personal context, but this may also be global. So do you experience similar problems? At least one or two of them. So I will move to Bu Eka now. Bu Eka, do you share similar problems in your teaching?
Yeah, for sure, Bu Ivone. I also share similar problem with you.
Yeah,
almost all of them.
Okay, right. So this is personal, almost all of them. Right. So this is personal actually, but it's also global. So if we face it, other people also face it, right? So therefore, going back to the same question, am I a professional teacher? Well, looking into the policy standard again, I know, well, approximately, yeah, whether I'm professional or not, based on the policy standard. But then there are other things that we need to think about when we talk about professionalism. Stakeholders, do our students feel that, we can cater for their needs? Are the parents happy with the results of the learning? And then school administration, professional association, teacher training institution, our community, and the government, are they happy? Our colleagues, do they see us as someone competent or not? Do they see us as someone who can collaborate with them, who can mentor them, who can help them to be their reviewer or role models, partner or facilitator? And within ourselves, we also have this pressure, of whether I've achieved something, whether I'm proud of what I do, whether I'm responsible of doing things that I'm supposed to do, whether I feel a feeling of fulfillment from my job, whether I'm committed, do I respect my job, and then do I have connection within my job and purpose, sense of purpose. So there are actually a lot of things going on when we are talking about professionalism. So this is one of the ways of seeing dimensions, the complex dimensions of professional development. So as we can see, I put arrows here. I'm here and actually I've received pressure from above, from within myself, from people surrounding me. So how can I become a more professional teacher as a whole? Yeah, so one key is actually to find support. Where do I start? Well, usually I start by asking myself, what do I have? What do I know? And then after that, what don't I know and what don't I have? Because I need to find out whether on my own or with the help of other people. And later, I find that the last one is actually very, very important in the growth of our professional development. What can I contribute and how much I can contribute? Because if we go back to the Dale cone of experience, if you remember the Dale cone of experience, it is like a pyramid. And then we remember most and we learn most is when we teach, when we actually do it, when we actually perform it to other people in a context. So yeah, so when you contribute, you actually develop yourself much better. So going back to my present and pressing professional problems, still problems with my students. So I see problems not within me, but what happens in the classroom as I observe my students. And that's why my statements are always with my students. So what should I do? In what area can I develop, or should I develop to be able to be more professional so that I can cater to my students' needs? Cater for my students' needs. Sorry. First dimension. So within the content and knowledge pedagogy, this is just one area. I need to improve my educational expertise, of course, because I feel that I don't have enough. And I have to cultivate this expertise so that I can understand the content and I can support more diverse learners. In the past, I was able to support my students, I felt at that time, but nowadays, well, it's a bit difficult because the range is just a little bit too big. And the last one is pedagogical mastery. To help me overcome those problems. Do I have 5 minutes more, Tina?
Not yet. In a few minutes, you will have 5 minutes left.
Okay, right. So the next one is the second dimension of professional development that I think I will need to see to solve my problem is that within the area of instructional strategies and techniques. So I need to come up with diverse approaches to cater for my students' needs, and also more interactive instruction, because my students, as I said before, they are demanding, they want answers right away. So if things don't happen in a few seconds, then they will lose interest. So therefore, I would need to learn about and relearn, learn and relearn about all of these things. The next dimension, because they are different, I need to come up with, evaluation techniques and also constructive feedback, more constructive feedback, so that they are not demotivated when they learn. So the last dimension that I see I need to improve is collaboration and reflective practice. So I will need to observe other people and then see what happens, whether they have mutual problems, and then how they solve this problem. And then I will need to reflect on my own teaching with the help of other people, and also joining professional learning communities like what we have here at Beltin. So from my previous presentation, from my previous slides, we can see that professional development actually comes with many shapes. So as we can see here, I give them different colors so that we can see that there's a cause effect, and they are actually two-way of doing this. So we reflect, and then we consult with other people. So we study something, and then we mentor other people, and we learn something, and then we put it into practice. So we can be at any ends and perform any roles. We can be the mentor, we can be the mentee, we can be the one who's practicing. Yes. 5 minutes?
You have 4 minutes left.
Putina?
Thank you. Yes.
5 minutes or 2 minutes?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
4 minutes.
I'm almost there. Okay. Yeah, I'm almost
thank
there.
you.
Okay. 4 minutes. Yeah. Right. So as we can see, this is not one direction. So it's actually, it's going multiple direction, inside us, outside us, and within us. So what's next after we know all of those things? We learned that people are different, teachers are different. They come to this particular profession with different kind of baggages, let's say. So some are with bigger baggage, some are with lighter ones, and different shapes and different forms. So what we need is actually a pathway, or different pathways for all of us. Different teachers, they have different goals in teaching, right? And different direction as well. So professional development should also go that way. Every teacher starts from different points of departure, and they have different professional goals. So one size fits all doesn't really work here. And the next one is that pathways that can cater to the proportion and roles that we have. So sometimes we need to learn, sometimes we need to give. Yeah, every teacher has their strengths and weaknesses, and we can actually benefit ourselves when we teach other people as we know it. Now, the next one is program. Every teacher has the option of, accessing multiple ways. Some professional development are online and then offline, and then so they can basically choose things that work for them. And for my case, actually, usually I start within myself. So I find out as much as I can, and then I go find help. So probably most of you are doing quite similar thing. So the last one. So where do we go from here? The directions of ongoing professional development for teachers. We're actually doing this, but probably we haven't seen it in a comprehensive way. So the first one is actually by doing research. The direction is when teachers do research, then they will professionally develop themselves. So ongoing development ensures that teachers adapt to new techniques and students' needs. And as we know it, teaching is an art. That's what I learned from my previous teachers. So there's no right and wrong. All you need to do is find the best way that works in your context. And the next one is by learning. So because learning leads to more effective teaching methodologies and improved student engagement. And the last one, by sharing. but encourages a culture of sharing and learning among educators, then hopefully we will be able to reach the same destination, which is a more professional teachers of English. And that's it. That's all from me, Putina. Back to you. Thank you.
Exactly, 25 minutes. Excellent. Thank you very much, Bu Ivone. Again, I would like to thank you for a very comprehensive presentation regarding how to navigate dimensions of ongoing teacher professional development. And before we go on to the Q&A session, allow me to have some takeaways from Ibu Ivone's presentation here. The first is professionalism deals with competences, which include personal, social, pedagogical, and professional. And ongoing TPD is important for teachers' continuous growth, elevated instruction, and enhanced collaboration. Moreover, teachers need to dig deeper about TPAC X. I've just found it, TPAC X. So it is added by contextual knowledge, and as one of the dimensions of the CPD. Professionalism also deals with policy standard, stakeholders, colleagues, and ourselves. Teachers also need to have CPD for increasing the proficiency level. And here, Ivone also shared about 4 dimensions of CPD, which include content knowledge and pedagogy, instructional strategies and techniques, assessment and feedback, collaboration, and reflective practice. And in conclusion, PD needs monitoring, consultation, practice, study, or improve reflection and learning. And Ibu Ivone, could you read the questions on the Q&A box? Or if not, then let me read it for you. Okay, we have, let me check here. There are 3 questions. Oh, the second one is not a question, but okay, I'm going to read the first question from Ibu Anggiarini. The question is how we maintain professionalism and creativity in rural schools. That's the question. You may answer directly.
So in other words, how to keep on growing, although you are in a rural community,
areas,
probably.
yes.
Well, rural areas, yeah. So by making use of what we have, like the resources that you have, your students are there, and then there are also resources within you. Your colleagues are your resources. Your previous lecturers are your resources. Your previous teachers are your resources. You know, and the government organization like Peltin is also another resource that you can, you know, reach out to if you're not able to, you know, grow on your own, you think. Yeah, but as our students, because most of the time when we do something, we do not ask them, like, what do they need? What do they want? What are their preferences? How do they want to learn? And by understanding our students a little bit more, then probably we'll be able to cater for their needs a little bit better. So I hope that answers Bu Anggia's question.
Yeah. Thank you, Bu Ivone, Bu Anggia. Hopefully, Ibu Ivone answers your question. But let me connect to the next question from Jumraini Jumadil. I guess more or less similar, but this deals with technology. Jumraini Jumadil is a Bapak, I guess. It is difficult to integrate technology into my EFL class because I teach in rural areas which there's no internet and the students here are primitive. They couldn't understand bahasa well. Bahasa Indonesia well. Even bahasa Indonesia they don't understand. It is complicated that I don't speak their local language. Please give me suggestions how I teach English in my class.
Okay, thank you, Pak Jumraini, for the question. Yeah. Okay, technology. When it comes to the word technology, it's actually not ICT. Yeah, the word technology is any type of tools that can help anyone to do things better, faster, and more efficiently. Yeah, so anything can be technology. If you're referring to information and communication technology, then if it's not applicable in your area, then do not use it because it's not applicable. You know, we're thinking about doing things that we can do as much the best we can, right? So once again, go back to your resources. If the technology is not there, use what is available in your class. So students can actually learn language by making it relatable to their lives. So rather than thinking about all of those modern things, if things are in a certain condition, in our condition, then we should fit it into that. Make it relatable to our students. So that's my answer, Putina.
Okay, thank you.
The second one is a bit difficult to answer. Yeah, like Pak Jumraini doesn't speak the local language, but the students don't understand English.
Even they don't understand bahasa.
So they don't understand bahasa Indonesia, yes. So do more total physical response. You know, use gesture more at the beginning. Introduce them to something very simple. So don't jump into like a complete sentence in English. You know, they'll freak out probably. So yeah, start with something simple, things that they can touch, things that they can do with in the classroom, and then introduce words first. Yeah, simplify your instruction. So probably that's my suggestion.
Okay. I have an idea. Why don't you start? I mean, start from the teacher himself. I mean, Pak Jumraini probably can speak their local language first to understand the local language, and then after that probably yeah, because the key is from the teacher. All right. Okay, let's go on to the next question from Ibu Agnes Enda. Ibu Agnes is one of the active participants in WhatsApp group as well. Bu Ivone, I wish you would love to share the programs from UM that will help teachers to keep the professionalism both for the teachers and the teacher training. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So thank you, Bu Enda. I happen to personally know her. So right. Right. Programs of UM. So we have many PKM. So this is like community service programs. So we go to your schools to work with teachers. And because as I said earlier, teaching is actually a personal thing. So different teachers will need different things. If you reach out to institutions like us, like institutions where Putina is working right now, Pakuan, Universitas Pakuan, or Universitas Negeri Malang, or other universities, the lecturers will be very happy to tailor or customize programs just for your needs. Rather than we're thinking about what you need, it's actually better for you to tell us what you need so that we can work together. But in terms of programs, Bu Enda, we have selections of programs at Universitas Negeri Malang that I cannot really mention one by one. So we have programs for teachers, elementary school teachers, and then junior high school teachers, and then senior high school teachers and lecturers as well. So to come to us and we can work something out probably.
All right. Thank you, Bu Ivone. Hopefully it answers your question, Bu Agnes. The next question is from Pak Asep Rahmat. Pak Asep Rahmat is also one of the active participants in WhatsApp group. So here, his question is, when we are learning or teaching language, for example, learning and teaching English, should we learn and teach both socioculture itself, native form the resources? What does it mean? Native form the resource of language. Did you get the question? Should
No,
we
I did
learn?
not get the question. Yeah,
Yes.
my connection is really bad actually. So
Yeah. By the way, can
yeah,
you read?
sorry.
Can you find the questions on the
Should we
Q&A?
learn?
Yeah. Yes. Should we learn and teach both socioculture
Yeah,
itself,
from
native?
yeah, I can see
from the
some
resource
Q.
of
It's
language. Yeah.
in the Q&A. Okay,
Yes.
so
Teach both socioculture itself.
whose
Probably
question
not
is it? Boo?
from the resource of language. Probably.
Whose question? I can
Asep,
see
Pak Asep
Pak
Rahman.
Asep,
Yes.
Pulusi,
Yes.
Puyanti. Oh, Pak Asep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pak Asep, yes.
My question is when we are learning or teaching language or example learning. I don't
Okay.
get the question
Oh.
actually. Should we learn and teach both social culture itself,
Self,
native
uh,
form?
or probably you just connect to the social culture. So should we teach like English by connecting with the social culture? Probably that's what we can assume from the
Within the
question.
culture
Yes,
of the people who
yes, with
use the
the
language?
yeah. Probably this is also connected
Yeah.
to
So
Pak
learning,
Jumraini's
yeah.
question. Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, so basically when we learn a language, a foreign language or any language, we are dealing with the culture of the people who speak the language. So in a way, we need to, situate our teaching within the social cultural context of the language that we teach. But in saying that, we also need to think about our own culture
Mhm.
because the end goal for our learners is actually to be able to communicate with the language that they learn, but by still keeping their own identity and their own culture. Yeah, so knowing what other people do and then knowing about their own culture and work hand in hand. So yeah, both the culture of the people who speak the language that they learn and also their own culture.
Okay, thank you.
And probably this is
And
learning from resources
Mhm.
developed by, yeah, I don't quite get the
Mhm.
second half of it, bro. I'm
Yeah,
very sorry.
I guess it's okay. We can just skip it. Next, the question from Heiri, probably, I don't know whether it's Bapak or Ibu. I think it's similar, yeah. So,
Mhm.
I mean, the question is more or less similar to the previous question. So I will just go on
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
wait. The question from Ibu Yanti, I guess this is interesting, and this is kind of common challenge for teachers. It's personal, but I sometimes plan to join certain programs to improve my teaching knowledge and skills,
Yes.
but I realize I run out of energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
regarding the
Yeah.
administration. Probably you can suggest the teachers.
Yeah, I can relate to Puyanti. So I remember at the beginning of COVID, I spent like hours and hours, attending webinars, not only as presenters, but also at the other end, as an audience. You're part of the audience. So yeah, so my suggestion is going to be selective because there are so many things out there. We need to, again, think about ourselves. Start with a reflection of what you need. Think about a problem and then how to solve that particular problem rather than trying to solve everything or the problem of the world, because when it comes to information in this era, the amount of information circulating is just so overwhelming, and you will tire yourself if you try to access all of them. So just access things that you need, and be selective and work with other people so that you have energy as you have buddies, someone to work with. And the other one is to actually apply what you learned rather than learn as much as you can. Just learn one or two things and then apply it. Make sure that, find out whether it's it's working or not. But if it doesn't work, then go back, relearn, and then go on practicing it. Yeah. So we are not trying to build a huge repertoire which in our head or in our ability that we cannot use. Yeah, we are trying to actually go to a certain direction, and we have certain goals. So work on your goals, and then start from there.
Okay, so probably the explanation or the suggestions also answer Ibu Linda's question. I guess it relates to each other. All right, Ibu Bapak, we do apologize for running out of the time. So probably the rest of the questions can be answered by Ibu Ivone. So you can just type the answers on the Q&A box, Ibu Ivone. And again, thank you very much for
yes, I will answer. Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Tina.
My pleasure. Again, we would like to thank Ibu Ivone for such insightful sharing on ongoing teacher professional development, and to all participants who have submitted your questions to the Q&A box. So again, thank you. You can give a virtual clapping hands to Ibu Ivone. Thank you again. All right, Ibu Bapak. Now we come to the second presentation.
Thank you so much, Bapak Ibu.
Yes, welcome, Ibu. Now we come to the second presentation that will be brought to you by our second panelist, Dr. Niluh Putu Eka Sulistia Dewi, or in short, Ibu Eka. And in this session, Ibu Eka will share about teacher professional development by learning from children's voice in the classroom. Beforehand, let me read her short bio. Niluh Putu Eka Sulistia Dewi has been a faculty member at Universitas Pendidikan Ganesha since 2006 at English Language Education Study Program. Currently, she serves as the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs in the Faculty of Language and Arts. She earned her master and doctorate from Universitas Negeri Malang, majoring in English Language Education. Her research interests and publications are mostly in the area of teaching English for young learners and language assessment that had also brought her to win the same University of Sciences in the Netherlands in 2017 for her professional development program. So dear Ibu Bapak, again, I'd like to remind you again that during Ibu Eka's presentation for around 25 minutes, please send your questions to the Q&A box provided. Thank you. All right, without further ado, please welcome Ibu Eka. Ibu Eka, the screen is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Ibu Tina.
Sure.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Peltin and also British Council to invite me for this webinar. I'm very honored to share with you today, and also to see all the participants. I believe these hundreds numbers indicate that every teachers are eager to be professional, or they would like to improve professionally. Yeah, just now we had listened to Ibu Ivone's presentation. Well, it was very comprehensive already, and from her presentation, I also learned a lot of things today. So I would like also to thank Ibu Ivone for her insightful sharing, especially on ongoing professional development, in which also it brings an idea for me to share with you all part of Ibu Ivone's presentation that today we are going to, I'm going to talk about one of the dimensions in the professional development. Okay, can you see the screen already, Ibu Tina?
Yes, Bu, already.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to talk a bit about the involvement of children's in our professional development. So Ibu Ivone already mentioning information with concern on some professional development programs, how to deal with our professionalism, how to cope with that, what program that we can do. And this session, we are going to take a look closer to one dimension in the professional development, that is from the children's. Before we go further, let me show you a picture. Okay, so probably most of us here also experience the same situation as what we can see in the picture. So sometimes it's quite a challenge for us, especially when we are facing the children, that to attract their attention is not something which is very easy. Yeah. So children tend to speak their mind. Sometimes not everybody happy to be ordered to do something. And for sure, we feel like very annoyed, yeah, feeling furious about the situation. And sometimes also we can find this kind of situation when we feel very happy in front of the class, but we are having less consideration about how actually our children feels about our instruction. And we feel confused on how to deal with our children who have many kinds of intention, many kinds of curiosity, and probably they are not really happy with the way of we are teaching. And it's reminded me on my own experience when I started to teach in a elementary school. It was in like 2002, a long time ago, where I'm still learning because I was still in the university. What I did was just to pretend that everybody or all children understand what I was delivered, without considering whether they really understand or not about instruction. So this kind of things need to be improved, right? So the way how we cope with that, I believe everybody here, all the participants also already considered some activities or some programs that you attend, like what we have today. And in a more micro program, what we usually do is we talk to our partners, share what the problems that we have in the classroom, and then try to dig more information about how to deal with that. Yeah, so that's the smallest things that we usually do, talk to our peers, and then do a reflection on how to deal with that kind of a problem or issue in the classroom. Or even, we also sometimes talk to other teachers at the same school, as what I did is that talk to my senior about the situation and having their opinions on how to deal with that, and also to discuss how to improve our professionalism. Yeah, so talk to senior, talk to peers. And of course, when we are at school, we also have small group of teachers. Yeah, and this is also a good program that we can do to talk about or to share. Yeah, it's not only a matter of our problems and how to deal with that, but we also can share what's the latest that happening in the education area that might bring inspiration for us to see in details the solution for the problems. And of course, in the macro program, as what we do as a teacher, we try to share with wider community, like in a conference, and also to publish your own article in a journal, something else. Yeah, so that there are a lot of options that we can do in order to having our professionalism improve. But then when we relate this into our own self, as what being mentioned by Ibu Ivone just now, one of the most important dimension that we have into our continuous professional development is reflective, to be reflective. Yeah. So what is meant by to be reflective? So to be reflective is not only about asking ourselves a question of what and then why it happens, but it will be go further into how to solve it and what necessary activity, what necessary consideration that we should put into account in order to solve that kind of issue. So then as a teacher, we should be critical to see the phenomena happens. It's not only asking about why it's happened, but more than that, we should know exactly how to deal with that, how to proceed further. We make our own adjustment about the situation, and then also implement something that we think is appropriate to deal with that issue. So then, if we are talking about children, how can we involve them into our continuous professional development? Yeah, I offer two things. So firstly, it's in an assessment point of view. As we know that in assessment, we collect information from our students in terms of their process of learning and also in terms of the product of their learning. So then we can draw conclusion about what to do further. As what I already shared in the pre-task activity, I shared you pictures and a situation. As a teacher, what we will do if we found such kinds of situation. So after the students receive the score from their exam, so what can we do about it? So these are some responses provided by the participants. So one of the participants mentioned that she or he just tell the students that making mistake is okay. So what does it imply? So it implies that don't stop right there. So just try again and again. Yeah. And other response is about how to grow the students' awareness and give them motivation. That score is not the main goal, but the process is also appreciated. And this is also a good response to this kinds of situation. And the last response is about some things which I think is inspiring. So let's reflect together. Yeah, so we'll talk about this in the next section, but now we will focus on assessment itself. How can assessment can be viewed to improve our professionalism or to strengthen our professionalism? So when our when our students receive their score and it is considered to be unsatisfying for them, we also can take this action or responses to our own reflection as a teacher. So assessment can be also formative. It can give us information about what needs to be improved into our instruction. So we are not merely blaming our students for having bad score, but we also need to consider what's wrong with our instruction. So we need to go back, we need to reflect to the situation or to our lesson plan, or also to the condition where the teaching and learning process occurred. So we can ask question to ourselves. Did I choose appropriate strategies to achieve the learning objectives? Or did I use appropriate teaching materials? And then did I design good assessment instrument to assess our students, and so forth? So then it's not only a matter of blaming the students. Probably we will say that we blame the technology, like for instance, that this is the result because you spend a lot of time in your gadget, because you spend a lot of time in the social media, then you cannot answer all of the exams. You fail the exam. So it's not a kind of a wise accuse for our students. Instead, it's good for us as a teacher to reflect to ourselves. And that's the position of assessment in supporting our continuous professional development. And of course, the other way that we can involve our children for our continuous professional development is through research. Now, this is what I would like to share is about one of the study conducted by teachers or researchers in India, supported by British Council, which I believe can give us a lot of inspiration in terms of our pedagogical competence and also professional competence. So I will talk about it in a bit. So how can children be involved into a research? So CALET 2010 shared that the children can be involved into research in 4 ways. So it can be research on children, research about children, research with children, and also research by children. So what makes them different? Research on children and also research about children, they are focusing on what's that? They're focusing, or the study is more controlled by the adults. Yeah, in this case, we can say it's from the teacher side. So the researcher tried to use the children as the object of the study to dig further about the perception, about their views toward the instruction, toward the attitude, and also behavior. But then research with children is something different. So research with children is a kind of a collaboration between teacher and also the children themselves. So in this case, the children are given opportunity. Yeah, children are given opportunity to show that they are also experts in the area. Yeah. So then the researchers, in this case, the teacher, they can take the students or the children data, yeah, that they are collected as a consideration for the researcher or for the teacher to explore about their study. And this kind of research with children, can bring some benefits for the children themselves. Yeah, because by having research with children, the children might feel their own ownership. Yeah, they feel ownership through all the activity or the active participation that they have into the study. And it also motivates them to develop further in terms of their critical thinking, to see the situation, to do what's happening in the classroom situation. And by having this kind of research or involving children into the research, they will bring a kind of honesty. Yeah, the children might develop their honesty. I mean, like they will be trained. Yeah, they will be trained to report the situation as what it is. Yeah, so in reducing the subjectivity. And it also will improve the children's self-esteem because they are part of the research itself. All right, and then the last one is research by children. This is something to do with the children themselves. They are conducting study and they are trained to be researcher. And my topic today is focusing on research with children. So as what I mentioned earlier, that this project conducted by the Indian elementary school teacher, supported by British Council, really gave me good inspiration. In this case, the research with children is not really defined as children who become the researcher themselves. It's not a professional researcher. But in this study, the children act as the collaborator of the teachers. So then they take their responsibility to share what they feel, yeah, what they feel during the study. In this case, the students and the teachers are put into a kind of a workshop. Yeah. So then in that kind of workshop, they did a lot of activities. So then the children work with the other pairs and work with the other group to negotiate ideas and then to come to the same common understanding about something that associated with the project itself. So then the main focus of the study conducted by Pinter et al. Is that to see how the teacher and also how the students view about the importance of research with children, with children as the co-researchers. Yeah, and for sure, these kinds of partnership has also been mentioned, something so beneficial as what been conducted by Haley et al. In 2016. And what was the findings from the study that I can share to you, which might also affect our point of view about continuous professional development? Yeah, from this study, it was found that the children are happy to share their view about what type of English language learning they wanted to enjoy. So by having the children being involved as a co-researcher into the study, they try to collect information. They try to make a collaboration with their peers. So then there comes up with an idea about what type of English language learning that they wanted to enjoy, something to do with how they would like to be treated in the classroom, what strategies, what technique, and also how the assessment should be conducted. So then the children can be successful in achieving the instructional objective, but then they still can enjoy the instruction. Okay, the other finding was that children commented on the important role of the teachers in their learning. So as they investigate together in the project, they found that teachers took very important roles in their learning. But it's not only a matter of teacher as it is, but it's more on the role models. Teacher become a role model. Teachers become the the one who guide, yeah, and also good listener, because the teacher also listen to what the children need in order to deal with the instruction. And then it was also found that children started to participate fully into the instruction, and they try to learn on how to make their own decision. and then work collaboratively with others. So by having a kind of trust to the children to become co-researcher, they will try also to think back, to reflect on what they need, and then how to deal with the situation. And then they try also to lead their group, to collaborate, to share ideas, to share their feelings, to share their thoughts, to share also what they need, what their weaknesses, what their strength is. So then this situation can be shared to the teacher. So then the teacher can use this information to design instruction for the children. And then the last one is that children feels that it is very important to be independent and then being able to learn for themselves. So what it means is that by having that kind of trust to the children to participate into the research, they will practice a lot on picking up their own perception, their own knowledge, and then they will become more independent to investigate something which is relevant to the context of the instruction. And then what about teachers? So how can this kind of a program affect the teachers? Because just now we are talking about the students or the children's point of view, being able to participate as a co-researcher. In terms of the teachers, it was found that by involving the children into the as a co-researchers into the program, it was seen that the children become more confident. And also in some cases, the children's English proficiency grew. Yeah, so by having them by giving them a kind of a responsibility as a co-researcher to collect information and also to share, to convince the teacher based on the children's point of view, they raise their confidence. Yeah, and they try to use their English, so then they will become more proficient.
Ibu Eka, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
You still have less than 5 minutes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and quite similar to what has been mentioned by the children's, in the teacher's point of view, there's also a kind of a relationship, a good collaboration between teacher and also students. As what I just mentioned, elaborate just now, so then how these kinds of research with children can help the teachers with their continuous professional development. Of course, by having the children involved into the research, teachers can listen to their voice, but what they need, what they actually need to listen from the in order to improve the quality of the teacher's instruction. So what they really need to deal with the children. So it's more on having a wide or open minded to give clear pictures to the teachers about the situation in the classroom. And there are some examples of how the children can be involved into the a kind of co-research activities. So this is more on authentic activities. Like for instance, here the teacher asked the students to write a story through comic strip where they start to make an investigation first and then they try to discuss with others until they can come up with this kind of product. And some other example that later I can share also. So then from this study, some recommendation can be considered. Yeah, so then as a teacher, we also need to hear what the children's need. We need to listen to their voice. we need to appreciate their opinions, and also we need to consider how to deal with what their voices are. Then as a teacher, we need to reflect also what to do next. How can I grow with what has been mentioned by my student as what I've been faced into the reality in the classroom? So then how we connect this into our own curriculum. So as we know that our curriculum is in a curriculum, emancipated curriculum, where here we also as a teacher need to reflect to our instruction, and we also provide enough space for our children to make their own reflection. So they are different in terms of their learning style, they are different in terms of their need, their achievement, their character, and also attitude. So we need to listen to this kind of voice. So then as a teacher, we can decide how to treat them, how to plan our courses, and then how to assess them, and then use the assessment result to improve the quality of our instruction. So it will bring us to what we so-called as differentiated instruction. So I believe by having this into our consideration, so we can appreciate our children's voice, we can appreciate what the students need, then all the instruction that we prepare can be successful. Okay, so I think that's all for me, Ibu Tina, and also all the experts. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Eka. Exactly 25 minutes. Excellent. Again, thank you for such insightful sharing. Before we go on to the Q&A session, let me have some takeaways from Ibu Eka. That professional development can be engaged through micro and macro scale engagement. And talking about reflection or reflective, it is not only about identifying problems, but also how to solve it. And then research should be, Ibu Eka suggested to have research for children in consideration to build continuous professional development, because children, they have more freedom to give a voice in the classroom. And then children's active involvement in an actual research exercise makes the data more contextual and meaningful for teachers' reflection. And children as the part of decision-making process could help the teacher or teachers to think about methods or strategies for the instruction and assessment. All right, Ibu Bapak, now we come to the Q&A session. And let me check here whether there are questions. Okay, we have 2 questions. Can you read the question as well, Ibu Eka? But I'm going to read the question. Yes. Okay. The first question comes from Bapak Herianto. The question is, I would like to know, how do you get the ethical clearance for involving students to your research? Thank you. Yes. You may answer directly, Weka.
Okay, thank you, Bu Tina. Well, to answer this question, I will refer to my own experience. Is it okay, Bu Tina?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I conducted my study that involved children, which is not quite easy in terms of the ethical clearance, because children is still underage. So then, of course, when we conduct study that involve children, we need to have a consent form, from the parents. So my dissertation and some of my publication and also research involve children. And in that consent form, we need to be very clear from the very beginning. Then the parents knows what exactly will happen during the study, what we will collect from the children. And then if it is interview, we need to make sure that the presence of the parents, that the parents will be present during the interview. So that's a kind of ethical clearance that we need to have, especially when we involve the children. And then we will face some kinds of an issue. Sometimes the parents feels not really comfortable if the children are involved into the research itself. So therefore, we need to appreciate that. So we cannot force the children to be involved in that kind of research if there is no clearance from their parents. I hope it answered Harry's question.
Yes, thank you, Bu Eka. I'm curious, I mean, the ages of the children that you have conducted the research, Bu Eka, said kindergarten, very young learners,
Okay, what I shared just now is a study conducted by the project conducted by British Council. It's involving the elementary school children there in India. But I would like to share my own experience when I conducted my study myself. So I involved elementary school students who were in a 6th grade. Yeah, so it's around like 11 to 12 years old. And I involved them, of course, in the class observation and also in the interview. But of course, there must be clearance from the parents. And it is also noticed by the principal at school and also the teachers themselves.
All right. Yes, thank you, Bu Eka. We have the second question from anonymous attendee. Children shared their views about what type of English language learning they want. It means teachers should differentiate the learning process upon the student needs. How could the teacher apply that process in large classroom, and should the process taught in every meeting? Yes, Bu.
All right, thank you, Bu Tina. So I think this question is something to do with differentiated instruction. Yeah. So as we all know that when we talk about differentiated instruction, that can be in the form of a differentiated process, differentiated product, and also differentiated content or material. In this case, this attendee asked about differentiated process, yeah? Bu Tina?
Yes. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the process itself. So I think I have a suggestion, because you talk about a large classroom, probably many teachers also consider applying differentiated instruction into a large classroom can be a challenge. So therefore, in the very beginning of our instruction, my suggestion is that we try to identify the characteristic of our children. So we try to identify firstly what their learning styles are, and then how their achievements in terms of English proficiency. So we need to identify that. It's not only that, we also need to consider about their social emotion, whether they like, probably some students having problems with their friends. So then when we have it in the classroom as for instance, group work, we will not put them into the same group, because it might bring a problem. It might cause a problem into that situation, such kinds of situation. So then after we collect the data, so before we start the instruction, then we know exactly the condition of our students. In that case, we already can identify how we can deal with them, how we manage them. Like if you talk about differentiated process, so if your students are considered to be visual learners, they get the advantage more for some things that they're reading. So when we have our assignment, then we make sure that we can cope with that kind of need. So we provide or we prepare the material that the students can explore more in terms of a visual. If we have our students more on a kinesthetic in terms of a process, they need to be involved. For instance, you involve them into a kind of a survey in the classroom. You can ask them to go to either what's that, friends after the class session to collect information. So I believe in my perception and how I apply it, but I don't know whether it will work for everybody. The most things or the most important things that we need to do is our preparation. So no matter how big our class is, if we prepare it very well, then it can help us to manage our class. So that's my opinion, Ibu Tina.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's quite insightful explanation, Ibu Eka. Well, because we do we still have time? Oh, 5 more minutes. One more question probably. Because I'm interested in. I mean, I'm scrolling up now. I found one question from Ibu Lucinur Hayati. Even though it's been answered by Ibu Ivone, probably you can strengthen. Um, the answers. Here, the question is, could you suggest a CPD model for EYL teachers that we can adapt in Indonesian setting? Maybe you can.
Sorry, Ibu
Yeah.
Tina,
Yes.
just little bit digging. Sorry, I cannot
Yeah.
hear it.
Oh yeah. Could you suggest a CPD model for EYL teachers that we can adapt in Indonesian setting?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So for that question, so I will talk in the perception, yeah, in a point of view, or in a what is that in my point of view, because I relate this into the assessment side, yeah, because we found probably it's more on the technological things. So what I can suggest for the model is that we use kind of a self-reflection model to be reflective teachers. In my perception, this is stronger than we just going to a kind of a workshop without having that kind of a self-reflection. So after joining a session or a program that, like for instance, a conference, and then a workshop, a seminar, or technical assistant, but without having that kind of a self-reflection, I think it will be less useful. So every time we join a kind of a professional development program, don't just stop right there. Please continue to your self-reflection, how it can work best for us, and then try to relate this with our existing condition in our classroom and try to get ideas and then grow our creativity to deal with the preparation that we have. So it's just, please don't stop only to join a kind of program, but then go further into more reflective through self-assessment. So that's my opinion, Butina. Thank you.
Excellent, Ibu. Thank you very much. All right. To all the participants, please give a virtual applause for Ibu Eka for sharing such insightful topic. And then again, thank you once again to Ibu Eka for the engaging and thought-provoking discussion about teacher professional development. And again to Ibu Ivone for enlightening our views on the topic. All right, Ibu Bapak, we come to the end of the session. I'm Tina Priyantin. Thank you very much for the questions you posed in the Q&A box. And I will hand this over to Zalfa, the Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
All right, thank you very much once again for the insightful knowledge from our remarkable speakers today, Ibu Francisca Maria Ivone, Ph.D., and also Dr. Niluh Putu Eka Sulistia Dewi, SPD, MPD, and also to our moderator, Ibu Tina Priyantin, MPD, for chairing the discussion. We are now in the first webinar of the third strand, and if you are interested in knowing what has happened in the first and second strand with over 300 participants taking part in it, you can check them out on the British Council Indonesia's YouTube page. Now we would like to inform you some events happening in February and March from the British Council. The first event is about how teacher educators can use the Community of Inquiry Framework to support teacher learning on Thursday, 29th February 2024. The content of this webinar is specifically for teacher educators who have a role in supporting the professional development of teachers, where you can meet Dr. Norman Vaughan to discuss and practice it further. If you are interested to register, the link is shown on the screen and will also be sent to the chat box by our team. Next, we have a free course that you can access until February the 26th, 2024, where you will be introduced to English in the multilingual classroom and learn how to make it fun for young learners to use it in the real world. You will learn about the benefits of multilingualism in practice, and developing multilingual learners. If you are interested, once again, to register, the link is shown on the screen and will also be sent to the chat box by our team. Moving to the events happening in March the 4th, 2024, we have a free online course specifically for teacher educators and teachers considering becoming a teacher educator. This self-study training course will help teachers to learn in 3-hour modules about understanding teacher learning and training, facilitating collaborative learning, and supporting teacher autonomy and self-directed learning. If you're interested to register, the link is shown on the screen. There's also a free course that you can still access today about communication skills. In this free course, you will learn about the introduction to dialogue and active listening, as well as dialogue and speaking up. If you're interested to register, the link is shown on the screen and will also be sent to the chat box. If you're still wondering what other courses are still open for enrollment, we have a 6-month self-study course where you will be given 3 modules about how to teach vocabulary, where you can help your learners notice, record, recycle, and use new vocabulary more confidently with engaging classroom activities. If you're interested to register, the link is shown on the screen. We also have a 3-month self-study course where you will be given 3 modules focusing on how to teach grammar, where you can discover how to help your learners notice, make sense of, and become more confident using grammar with engaging, meaning-focused teaching. If you're interested to register, the link is shown on the screen and will also be sent to the chat box. To all participants, please submit your feedback through this link, which you can scan the barcode, and our team will also send it to the chat box. The feedback link also serves as your attendance checker, so don't forget to fill that in. If you're also interested in becoming a Peltin member, our team will send the registration link to the chat box. Dear participants, don't miss out our last webinar of the third strand entitled Establishing a Community of Practice that will be held on Saturday, 2nd of March, 2024. We will have outstanding speakers, Dr. Nurmala Elmin Simbolon from Politeknik Negeri Pontianak and also Ibu Ika Lestari Damayanti, Ph.D. from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and also the President of Peltin. The discussion will be hosted by Ibu Yusnita Febrianti, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Malang, and also the Vice President of Peltin. You also may not want to miss this one because we will have the anticipated second Peltin Conference in 2024. This year's conference is in collaboration with the first UNPAC International Conference on English Language Education. The conference will be held at Universitas Pakuan Bogor, Indonesia on Saturday, July the 13th, 2024. Embracing the theme of supporting EYL teachers through knowledge and best practice, we have prestigious lineup of speakers. Dr. Icha Hodija as the keynote speaker, and the plenary speakers are Professor Pauline Jones, Ph.D. from the University of Wollongong, Australia, Dr. Alexius Chia from the National Institute of Education, Singapore, Ibu Ika Lestari Damayanti, MA PhD from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Ibu Ati Herawati, MPD from Universitas Pakuan, Indonesia, and also a RELA expert who will be announced soon. More updates on the conference will be published on both Peltin and UNPAC FKIP Instagram and websites. Last but not least, thank you to over 120 participants joining today's webinar. We are looking forward to the next discussion on the Community of Practice WhatsApp group. On behalf of Peltin and the British Council, I'm Zalfa Fajera Sabrina Putri, signing out. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.